Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out the Wood Kineticist podcast. This is a podcast all about tabletop RPGs. Calvin and I like to take a casual approach to the hobby, so on this podcast we like to talk about all the cool games that we run and the cool games that we're in and all the cool, wonderful people that we get to experience the hobby with. If this is your first experience to tabletop RPGs, go find yourself a table and go have some fun. And if you are a player at someone's table, maybe it's your turn to jump behind the GM screen.
Indeed. Now this week we're getting into more Pathfinder recapping. We're going to talk about a recent game run by our good friend of the show, Tim, who you've heard of more than a few times on here. And recently we were continuing with the Aftermath campaign. Basically, we're making our way through another session of that. We had a couple of fights we got into, as well as a special guest player who was playing a kineticist, so that was a whole lot of fun. And we can get into all that in the recap. But before we get to all of that fun stuff, let's get to the most important part of the show, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week.
Yes, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week, brought to you by Calvin. Thanks, Calvin.
All right. So this one it's a more of a player-facing thing, but I guess GMs can apply it too. But I have a player in one of my games who has like a whole character playlist of music for their character. And it's something that I've done too for some of the characters that I play, particularly ones on the USP channel, where I'm in a few of the sessions, like a few of these series of games over there. And I just think there's a lot of value in having a song or a playlist, or like even if it's just like a single specific track that you come back to with regards to a character. For me, it's a whole lot of like backing music from like shows and video games and stuff, something that puts me in the headspace of this character when they're in the middle of like either when they're in the middle of action or something that would be playing in the background when they're having a private moment, stuff like that. It just really helps me personally, getting like right before a game, if I have that playlist, I'm going through it, then it's sort of the same as like trying to find like that character again, just by having, you know, that mood setting music to work with.
Yeah, especially to if you haven't played that character in a while, just kind of getting back into the groove of things. For me, definitely, I have one specific song, but way like I guess the early days of the channel. Calvin ran a Starfinder campaign for a few of our friends, and played a character named Kato, and his I guess his character song or whatever, or inspiration was Intergalactic from the Backstreet Boys, the Beastie Boys. And yeah, I don't know, like every time I would just play it right before a session, just to kind of get me hyped and in the right headspace to play like I think he was like the pilot of the team in Starfinder, and just kind of that towing the line between being a bad guy and being a good guy, kind of Star-Lord nonsense. That was the character. And also, I think it might be cool to share that with your GM. Like if you have a specific song in mind, like that brings up the idea of your character, give it to your GM. Maybe like the GM might add it to their playlist, so when they're thinking about their session prep and stuff like that, they can just listen to a soundtrack or like a playlist of all of the character songs and kind of get some ideas of like, the mood and stuff like that. Yeah. I might ask my players to do that, actually, so it'd be kind of fun.
Ooh, that could be fun. I had no idea that was the song.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I think it's because we're playing like criminals, right? We're basically like criminals, and the Intergalactic Beastie Boys song, and it was like, it's set in space, and like it's kind of goofy, and like I don't know. It was just all around fun. But anyway, there you go, folks.
Totally
There's
makes
sense. Yeah, there's your tip of the week. Maybe get a playlist of songs that inspires the character that you're playing, and maybe share some of those songs with your GM so they can get inspired by your character a little bit more.
All right. Yeah, and also if you do have that sort of thing, why not share some of the music that you listen to below, whether you're a GM or a player. If you have something that inspires you, share it below. Maybe people that can use that for themselves.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into this episode. Up top, we do want to say that if you want to hear more about Pathfinder games or Lancer games or any other stuff we talk about on the channel, just drop a subscription and you can get all these episodes in your feed. Ring that notification bell so you get notified when new episodes go live. You know, the YouTube stuff you already know how to do. And if you're interested in anything else we have here, like gaming streams, then definitely go check out all the various playlists that are on the channel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this week we are talking about a Pathfinder game that is part of the Aftermath campaign, that is part of the, I don't know if this trilogy has a name, but it started with...
I call it the Tim saga, I'm pretty sure that's what I like to call it.
I like it.
Yeah.
But it started with Tim running us through a Pathfinder conversion for Lost Mine of Phandelver. Then we went into Unintended Consequences, where we had to deal with the consequences of things that we did. And now we are in the Aftermath campaign, where a calamity has hit, and we are in the aftermath of such. So previously, when this game started off, essentially, what had happened was that everybody in the party and everybody on the material plane with some sort of human ancestry for a period of time fell unconscious, and their souls were sort of absorbed into this other alternate entity, this creature that was eventually defeated by a group of heroes who had to sort of sacrifice themselves to defeat this entity. And after which time people were waking back up. But basically, around the whole world, a number of people just fell unconscious for a period of time. So certain things, like people who were in the middle of doing fly spells, they fell to the ground. Some people in the town we were in, they had been attacked by Zolgaths, these creatures from the depths below, who basically saw everybody fall unconscious, and they were like, it's our time now.
Rise up, gamers! Like, that's even still a joke. But yeah, apparently they were just in the sewers and were like, finally, the day has come.
Very opportunistic of them. And yeah, we were able to sort of fight back those creatures. We did find a wizard who was flying and crashed, and they had some sort of satchel with them that looked like they were part of a postal service, working for a company called the Wizards of the Sword Coast. And after all this, I should say, Teeks, one of the party members, was contacted by Sister Gurel, a member of the Harpers, who gave her a bit more details. So the current party is Teeks, a changeling druid, Silrona, a wizard monk, also cowboy, Bren, who is a ranger monk, Finn, who is a magus, Theo, a catfolk summoner, and a special guest that joined us on this particular session that we will get into. So we basically came back in Thornhold, this town that we were in. Teeks was sending a message to Sister Gurel using Animal Messenger, which we're probably skewing the ranges of that a bit, but it's probably okay, because it's just sending a letter to someone. But Thornhold itself was in a very somber mood after the attack, and as evening was coming on, and while Silrona was busy in the cowboy dimension, which is where Silrona goes whenever Ramon isn't around, we were sort of dealing with the town and getting drinks and things like that. We looked at the satchel that we found that had all those those documents like books and papers and stuff. Bren was able to figure out that this entity, the Wizards of the Sword Coast, is a conglomerate with their hands in many businesses, including a fast but expensive postal service. And again, I am very nervous that we have something of theirs unintentionally. Hopefully they won't be too mad if we manage to get it back to them. But we did make plans to meet with Sister Gurel, who, as far as we knew, was in the small town of Phandalin still. I think I got it in my head that she was somewhere else, apparently, but I was mistaken. So that was the plan of where to go next.
I'm sure Tim will put her wherever we go, because like it would be, it's kind of a letdown to be like your princess is in another castle. Like go, you have to go somewhere else.
You just circle all the way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's walk all the way south to Baldur's Gate and see if she's there.
Yeah, like the video game 3.
Yeah, I know Tim is using the Sword Coast map, and I know his game isn't like the exact same setting, but I don't know. I was just thinking if we just went to like a random location.
Yeah, I love that Tim just took the Sword Coast map, and then Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and now because everybody kind of is familiar with it a little bit more, like normies, they're like, Tim's like, fuck, I just wanted a map. Like, I didn't mean to just take this IP. Like all these places don't actually equate to whatever's in the Sword Coast. I just didn't want to change the names. And I was like, yo, don't worry, man. Live your life.
Yeah,
like
completely understandable.
So all these places are just, names and places. They're just names and places. If you're familiar with the Sword Coast, Tim is not. And so don't get I would say don't get holed up if you're listening, guys, and be like, oh, that's wrong. Tim doesn't know and Tim doesn't care, and we don't. So
yeah, no. But I am gonna crack jokes still because that's kind of what I do. But yeah, so we stopped to get some drinks after sending a message to Sister Gorell, where Bren and Finn had the most because obviously, of course, they did. So Roni only had a couple, and Teeks only had like one drink, and then she was out. But Theo, however, didn't seem to drink at the time. Although, I don't know, maybe he got like milk or something.
I don't know, he's a cat person. I don't really know what cat people do, but he is definitely meowing. So...
and then, yeah, we settled in for some rest, and the next morning, as we were heading out, we could hear, amongst the people who were, like, still dealing with the aftermath of what had happened the day prior. Certain shop stalls weren't open because the people who ran them had been killed or they had been destroyed and stuff like that. But there was someone who was standing on top of a well in the town, and they were yelling about trees. And we could see this little gnome person who was basically in the middle of the town yelling for help, saying that there were some dwarves who were chopping down the trees in his forest. And he was meant to be like this protector of the forest, but he needed help to fight them back. And of course, Teeks was into it. I don't know if I mentioned this in the game, but being a druid, there's certain things that are like anathema to her. Like if she acts in certain ways, she could lose her nature powers. So letting people destroy a whole forest was very much on her list of things to not do. But also, she just didn't want this to happen. She likes nature. So we stopped to talk to this gnome by the name of Timey, which means little sapling, which is very fun. And we found that the dwarves, they had taken his people, basically. They lived in like this commune in nature, and they were using his people to like try to build a fort for some unknown purpose at the time. I think there was a comment of just how like stuff always seems to happen around us. I think Silrona mentioned how bad luck seems to follow like the party.
Yeah. But that's just because we're the heroes, so we have to go where the badness is, and or it has to find us, or else there's no drama, right? So Silrona's like, wait a minute, am I a character in a story? Like,
don't break that fourth wall, Silrona. You're already dealing with. You're already hopping between dimensions. This is the last thing you need.
I know, right? Starting to see the cracks in between it. You know what I mean? Like,
but yeah, we were able to we gathered together and then we started to head off. I'm trying to remember the pronunciation. I believe it was Timey. There was this particular kineticist power that he was getting a lot of great use out of, and it was the power of a dash of herbs, which could be added to a meal or just breathed in, basically. And they would heal people as well as giving other benefits like removing certain conditions.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I think it's so wild to me that we've experienced, because in the Rise of Rulers campaign, my wife is playing a Wood Kineticist as well, and like I was just looking through it because to help her build a character, and like the amount of just like healing the Wood Kineticist can apply to the party, like just free heals. I mean, like it's not like triage healing, I would say, like, you know, a burst heal during a fight or something like that from like a cleric, but like the amount of just out of battle free heals people can get, it's wild. Like actually infinite, just infinite amounts for like a traveling day. If you're just traveling, like everyone's full, it doesn't matter. Dash of herbs, piece of fruit, like, and I'm pretty sure it's just propaganda from Pasion to make people healthier. Like it's just
we'll see if it works. Yeah, if you eat healthy, you can get 2d8 plus 4 HP back every 10 minutes.
Yeah, so if you eat a fruit every 10 minutes, you'll be healthier. That's what they say. Damn it, Paizo. I'm trying to die young here.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like just seeing like a higher level kineticist powers, especially like from my perspective, like playing a druid who has this nature connection and was doing a lot of healing in the party. Here comes someone who's just like, here, have some free healing. Because like I just have my spell, so I run out of the ability to heal people eventually.
Yeah, but you could turn to like a shark, which is pretty cool, man. Like don't let Teeks. Don't you feel bad about Teeks? That shark in a dress always looks really good.
It is my favorite thing. Yeah, I think Teeks could have very easily felt like jealous in this situation, but I was kind of playing her more like fascinated that she's run into someone with this connection to nature, but it's not the same as hers. So she's like really into it. Yeah. Such as as Tammy is walking, he's creating like these wooden stilts that appear out of the ground for each step and then disappear back into the ground, so we can keep up with all the taller people, which is a very cool visual, by the way. And so Teeks was trying to be like, well, look at what I can do, as she was summoning her water elemental powers, because we did some slight retconning with some stuff, so she has some kineticist in her. But she was just basically able to summon like a ball of water and kind of splash it about, much to Theo's annoyance.
Speaking of Theo, which I think is really funny, if you guys are playing Pathfinder 2 on Foundry, we're so fascinated. They put in a party sheet. Maybe it was there the entire time, I don't know, but we just found it, and it shows you like way too much detail about characters. Like it shows like the character's wealth of like accumulated stuff that they're carrying around, and oh boy, like the players found out that Theo is carrying like 100,000 GP item that we don't know about, and that we didn't know about, and we're all like, what the hell is this?
Would not let him read the end of it.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's a way to like hide items from players from the party sheet, but like if there is, let us know so we could tell Tim.
Yeah, because Theo
that was really funny.
Like, Theo isn't wealthy. He seems to have more gold than anybody on that sheet because he has something that is very expensive. Like, Teeks was kind of in a similar situation before I put that golden elven statue in the party stash, because the statue itself has a pretty high value on it. It made Teeks look wealthy, but she, I don't think she really is.
Yeah, we also found out that like players could just loot bodies themselves and just like by cleaning up their inventory, which was wild to me. I was like, and we had a moment where some people were just faster at clicking, so somebody would have like the menu open of the character they're looting, and then all the items would go away, and they're like, "Damn it, I was gonna take that."
It's very much like if you're playing a video game with someone and then you're both trying to loot the same body and all the stuff is just disappearing.
I know. Which I think is a super cool thing because it takes before Tim had to do it, and it was like a lot and would slow down a lot of stuff. But it is kind of nice that players are able to just kind of do that themselves, and one of the cool parts about playing this game in Foundries is that, right? Like using the technology to make the game better. But also, it's really funny that we get to find out a bunch of information that we should not have, and that we get to just steal stuff from players. I mean, like, not steal stuff from players, but not give them the opportunity to take it for themselves.
Yeah. But now, like, in the future, if I run a game and I have to worry about that, I gotta make sure that enemies already have, like, cool stuff on them, not do it on the fly like I normally do.
True. But yeah, no, it was pretty cool.
And yeah, as we were traveling between the noise that Timey and Teeks were making, we did get some unwanted attention. There was like this deep rumble in the distance as we were moving forwards, and then we could see some boulders moving and sort of coming together as some living landslides appeared in front of us. And then we got into a fight. Timey started it off with a wood elemental blast and landed some crit damage. Bren got in there with some punches that surprisingly weren't very effective against these rock creatures. And Solrona was doing the classic magic missile blast, which is him doing cowboy finger guns, basically.
Yeah, basically.
And then, so Theo has been in the campaign, just like the character's been around just like for a couple of sessions now, so we haven't seen his full range of abilities yet. And we're sort of getting a better sense of it now because he summoned his Eidolon, which as a summoner is like this creature that he has a connection to. He can summon it, bring it onto the field, he can empower it, he can direct it to attack, he can do all sorts of things with it. And Theo's particular Eidolon is this large undead creature, like this warped figure that's wrapped in a cloak. We could see like different body parts on it that seem to be from different creatures, like these claws that were coming off of its arm. Some parts of it looked like rotting or burnt, and its face was totally obscured. And it was very big, it was very creepy. But we didn't have the time to deal with it at the moment because there were rocks trying to kill us. So as the fight went on, Bren did manage to get a crit in there on one of the living landslides, and Finn hit one with a fire spell, and then it has this ability to like crumble away when it gets hit, which is essentially like if it's on top of a rocky surface, it can crumble into the surface and basically burrow down so you can't see where it is.
Yeah, then it pops back up to, sucker punch you, pretty much.
Yeah, just to surprise you and mess you up. Yeah, Teeks was doing some electric arcs because it's my favorite cantrip. Timey did I forget the name of the thing, but it's the thing that like creates thorns in his kinetic aura, which normally like makes it difficult terrain, I think it is. But he also has a feat called Pacifying Infusion, which means that like negative effects in his aura, he can prevent them from affecting his allies.
Ooh, okay.
So luckily, allies weren't affected as he used this ability.
Yeah, I was nowhere close to that fight, like at all, up until like the end of it. I was like, Sorana's just chilling in the back, just shooting magic, being like, pew pew, like.
As you should be, Mr. Wizard. Yeah, because as you really should be, because Timey and Teeks, they did get attacked by one of the landslides that like burst out of the ground. And then Silrona, he got a crit in there with the magnetic acceleration spell, which I've noticed you use a few times as opposed to just straight up magic missile and fireball.
gotta mix it up sometimes, like.
Of course. Yeah, Theo did a boost on his Eidolon, which caused it to be able to do more damage. Finn used Arcane Cascade while flanking and got a hit in. Teeks tried to, like, recall knowledge on the elemental creatures, on the living landslides. Because I was thinking maybe they have some sort of weakness. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I was Pokemon brained or something.
Yeah, it's like, there's no... it's like... It's no rock, paper, scissors in this. They're just rocks, man. You just gotta
really go down.
Yeah.
which is pretty much what we did. Timey was doing some blast. Bren got in some staff strikes. Knocked one of the boulder head off one of the creatures and almost like knocked it into Finn. Solrona got a punch in, which was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I landed a crit, but then immediately critically failed like the next punch.
Don't worry about it. We see the work you're putting in.
Yeah, I should probably stop punching things, but I took that level of monk dedication, and I'm like, I'm gonna punch stuff. Like, I wanna do it, man.
Yeah, you just gotta put your strength up. Actually, you know what? You should get hand wraps.
I also learned that I have. I mean, this is probably because like I'm really lazy in terms of Solrona because I'm the blasty blast man. But like I should like as a wizard should know like not prepare more spells, but like know like my prepared amount of spells that I can pull from should be wider. I was like short like 6 spells or something like that. So I might look into getting some like magic fang or something like that. Or sorry, I think it's called runic body now. So I can like beef up my punches whenever I feel like I want to. So let's try. Maybe I'll do that.
You're not just gonna use the same 2 spells over and over.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a first level spell slot, so I move all my magic missiles up to like the higher spell slots now. So like I usually don't even. I work from like the top down, so I use all the big spells first. So if it comes down to brawl at the end of it, it's because I've used a couple turns of blasting.
Like the exact opposite of a video game boss. You start with your strongest attack instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were fighting the living landslides back until there was one left, and you know how it goes, where you have one enemy left and they have really low health, but no one can land that last blow or do enough damage to take it out.
I like that all of us are just trying to punch it. that whole session was everyone just egging everybody to punch the thing. Like
it was quite a struggle. Like Bren, Solrona, the Eidolon, Timey were in there. Like everybody was getting in there.
This one dude was just like, I won't give up.
Until Finn was able to land the last blow and take out the living landslide's last 2 hit points. We patched ourselves up, did some healing. Again, Timey has...
We stopped for brunch.
We stopped for brunch.
with a dash of herbs.
Sprinkles with a light dash of herbs. And as we were having our brunch, Teeks was like looking at this giant zombie that Theo summoned and was like, so what's all this then? What's the deal with that? We didn't get too many details, but Theo said that it's called FAM. And didn't really go into like too many specifics or details about it, although Teeks was kind of like, yeah, no, we all have our secrets. I get it. Don't worry about it, because we're just. I think the group is just used to picking up strays at this point. So. But yeah, Fam also was able to carry Timey, so he didn't have to keep making like his wooden stilts. But he was able to fashion this wooden chair to attach to the giant Eidolon, which is pretty funny. And as he was doing this, we could also see that Theo has like this glowing skull symbol that becomes visible on his back while the Eidolon is active. Who knows what that means? I sure don't. I looked at the summoners.
Like an Eidolon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a summoner thing where it's like you can't hide the fact that you're the one summoning it. So it just always will. People can figure it out.
Oh, that makes sense. I only kind of looked at the class briefly. Just for like the first couple of levels. I didn't really get into the details of it. I was mostly just looking at it for, I will say obvious reasons, in case I wanted to make a character to go on some sort of strange journey with.
Some sort of bizarre adventure?
Perhaps.
We should just do that. I think that would be funny if someone just read
a summoner campaign.
JoJo's, yeah, just some sort of Star Crusade campaign where a bunch of upstanding users of the summoner class would be able to deal with some nefarious vampire.
Don't tempt me, man. I already stole like the villain powers from part 3 for another campaign.
Well, now you gotta steal the villain powers from all the other parts.
Great. It would be really interesting to see how a party would handle like the villain from part 5, like someone who can just like literally see the future and just scoot out of the way. Or even, how would they handle someone like in part 4 where they can just like constantly reset time?
Yeah.
And then choose which timeline becomes the actual. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this.
Yeah, man. There's your secret second tip of the week, folks. Just if you don't have any good ideas, just take them from JoJo. There's a lot.
Yeah, like genuinely. Oh, even okay. No, I can't keep thinking about this because I was thinking about part 7, but it's fine. It's fine. But we kept moving, and eventually we ended up in the area that was being deforested. We did pretty well for stealth, so we were able to sneak closer. We could see the forest. The people of Timey's commune had been captured by Duragar, who they had like enslaved various people. We saw a ghoul there as well who had been captured, but it was mostly like captured humans from the commune. And the ghoul was like this undead figure who had died before their term was up with the Duragar, I guess. So they were still chained up to continue to work through it. So we were all like, yeah, these guys, they gotta go in the ground expeditiously. Some of the party members, I forget who specifically, I think it was Theo and Finn, maybe? I feel like Finn makes sense, but I might be misremembering who specifically could understand this, but the undead figure was talking in Necrol and said that, you can take my liberty, but you can never take my honor, sort of hissing it towards the Duragar that were forcing him to work. So this is probably the most like AoE spells I've seen in a combat, because the Duragar happen to be standing decently close to each other. But after Finn managed to free the ghoul's bindings, we dropped the bomb on them several times.
Yeah, like literally. I think because Fireball is such a ridiculous spell, it has such crazy range. Tim let me prepare it beforehand because I was at the edge of the map, and after I didn't move up with the rest of the party, so I just launched the Fireball at them, and then it was mayhem. I think they were like all spaced like 15 feet apart, so if you're planning the party to attack some people, make sure they're at least 25 feet apart. So like you can't catch all of them in a fireball, which is super funny.
True, but also it's fun. But yeah, things started off with Silrona dropping a fireball on the group. Timey did like a splinter attack. Theo did a spell that caused like skeletal arms to burst out from the ground and attack, which is pretty metal. Teek's been in there with a lightning bolt. And then on the turn after that, I realized I had a fireball scroll, so I like fireballed the same spot. I didn't catch all of them, but we just kind of exploded that area twice, so hopefully they're still able to grow stuff there. Ren was taking bow shots from a distance. Finn moved in with her machete. Timey summoned these vines these vines, they were like blood-drinking vines that could take vitality from an enemy, and if an ally was in the area, the ally would heal.
Just transfer the blood from somebody to somebody else.
Remarkably unsafe from a medical perspective, but very cool. And yeah, Theo was just keeping up the skeletons in the area. Finn was dodging, Ren was bow shooting. There was a Duragar Forge Priest he was wielding like this hammer, and he threw it into the air, and as it landed, it like exploded and created a burst of lava. that hit some of the party, but it also ended up killing the ghoul, which was very sad because I really wanted to help that guy. I also...
It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter. That guy didn't matter.
What? What do you mean?
That guy was a literary device to show how cruel these guys are.
No.
I doubt that guy was actually important.
It's not about being important.
I'm sure Tim read in the text being like, "Oh, the Dwargers are really mean."
It's not about
Actually,
it being important.
I don't know. But I had a feeling that he wasn't that important, but it's fine.
Still. But yeah, he did get super exploded. I was looking at my spells of what could I do, but for one, he's undead, so I couldn't have healed him anyways. Not that it would have mattered because he would have exploded. And I realized I don't have Stabilize prepared at the moment, so hopefully there aren't any more fights in this game day that we have to worry about. Or maybe someone else has Stabilize prepared. But yeah, the lava exploded, did some damage. Finn then targeted that Forge Priest and was able to pull blood from him with a magic spell. Taimi also joined in on attacking the Forge Priest. And the last Duergar went down when Theo's Eidolon shredded it with its claws. And then we were able to free the people who were there, including a Shisk, which just was this person who dwells underground. Was one of the people that the Duergar had been had working on chopping through this forest. And they, along with some of the other humans, informed us of a cave nearby where the Duergar they held people captive, and it seemed like they were building something in there as well. The people that we had rescued, they were notably shirtless and lacking clothes, and we were wondering if they would be okay, but apparently that was very normal for the people who lived in this commune. So good for them, I guess. Yeah, and then after a round of very intense competitive looting, we set off to this Duergar cave. We were able to stealth our way in, and then we launched our attack. Teeks do an electric arc because it's the best cantrip. Finn getting in there with some Produce Flames and Spell Strike and other mage's stuff that is very cool to see, and I should probably read a bit more about the class itself. Bren was actually using his bow this time around, which is very surprising for a guy whose main thing seems to be punching.
Yeah, actually, I thought about it. I think that Bren should probably have there's a stance you can take with a bow for a monk, and it allows you to flurry of blows with the bow. Might be something maybe Bren's player can look into. But yeah, and then we could call it flurry of bow, right?
Boo. Can't isn't there a ranger thing that does that, or it's probably a feat that you have to take?
I think it's you have to hunt the prey. So it's a hunt prey action where you get to shoot twice, but then I guess it's another action. I'm sure that there's some way to be okay, I hunt the prey, I go to stance, and now I shoot 5 arrows at somebody. But I feel like the multiple attack penalty would be so high. So I don't know. Although I think that you still apply any of the monk feats. If you have stunning fists, if you shoot somebody twice with a bow and then they hit one and you get hit by one, you get stunned one, or I guess slowed one. I don't remember what it is, which is kind of cool. So you can mess with the action economy of the enemy. But I don't know, maybe. Brent has way too much weapons of death and destruction, to be honest with you. Bren's packing with all sorts of nonsense.
That's because Bren always has loot on the mind.
Yeah, it's true.
Bren only thinks of one thing. But yeah, we got in there, we were attacking the Duergar. We kind of caught them a bit by surprise, so we were able to sort of get into a fight with them. One of the Duergar managed to knock Finn to the ground and then kicked her on the ground, which Finn was very pissed off about. Theo summoned his Eidolon, did some evolving and boosting, and made it even larger, so it was 3x3 spaces, which, very glad that thing is on our side. There was another Forge Priest down there, and we were very worried about him doing another lava attack. And in the course of this fight, Silrona moved a bit closer, so he could slap Bren on the back and cast Runic Body. So Bren was able to get into there with some good punching.
Yeah.
One of the Duergar did enlarge on itself, and then moved into attack Taimi, which is very rude of it. So that one kind of like, as soon as that one became large, it became like the main focus for like most of the attacks that round. So it got hit by like a Tempest Surge and other stuff, and Finn was able to take it out by like doing the classic teleport behind it, then attack.
You're already dead. Like... Nutty?
Nutty? Class. Yeah, and then the leader of the Duergar got closer, got into the fight. Taimi like protected himself with this hardwood armor. And the Forge Priest was still there as well and was in battle with Theo's Eidolon. And then it did its exploding hammer throw, which got a bunch of us. And then Teeks did a flaming sphere under the leader, which was pretty effective. Not as much as I would have liked, but flaming sphere is a pretty good spell. Like, you can sustain it, it continues to do damage. It's not as flashy as Fireball, I will say. But, it's good, honest fire damage.
It's good. It's a good, honest workhorse of a spell.
So yeah, Finn blasted the Forge Priest. It ended up being knocked prone later, and then Bren was able to like take it out while it was prone. And Finn was like, yeah, that's how that feels. Theo got infected with a paranoia spell. But he was able to, I think he either regular failed or succeeded on the save. But still ended up treating the party as unfriendly instead of hostile. Which probably would have had an effect on certain things because he no longer counted as an ally to the party. We didn't really get into how that would affect things mechanically, but there are certain spells that say, if you have an ally or this affects allies and stuff like that. So he would have been immune to those effects.
Yeah, it also would affect like flanking and things like that too, right? So, but I mean, Theo is still kind of standoffish from the party. He hasn't warmed up to us yet, so he wasn't really that keen on being friends anyway. So I was like, oh, well, that didn't change anything. Like,
yeah, like attitude-wise, it's exactly the same. Yeah, Taimi did like a hail of these wooden splinters, but the leader got a crit to save, which was very unfortunate. And we just got into blasting, basically. Silrona was there with the magnetic spell and magic missile. Teeks was doing Ray of Frost, but it kind of missed. Don't worry about it. Finn hopped into a flank, but also missed, and Branch's punch missed, and the Eidolon's attack missed, and you know how it goes. There's this one thing left, and it's got low health, but no one can connect. So then the leader was swinging multiple attacks, even managed to get Taimi at dying 3, because Taimi got hit by a crit and then failed his save. We had a moment where the Eidolon attacked the leader, and the leader did a Blood Vendetta spell on it, and there was some debate over like how it would affect like either the Eidolon or Theo. But Silrona was able to end the battle with his magic missile finger guns that took out the leader of this Duergar, and Teeks helped Taimi to not die.
Yeah, which is super fun for me. Not for Taimi.
I mean, not dying is probably fun. So afterwards, we looted, obviously. And then we found a prison that was made out of cut down trees that Bren was able to chop through because he has this axe of really good at cutting trees.
Yeah, this axe of anti-tree, pretty much.
Which is pretty much every axe, but this one especially.
Yeah, this is just made different, right? Like,
there was a hidden chest down there with a trap on it, but fortunately Theo was able to save. And then, yeah, we sort of checked in on the people who had been captured. And with some information from Theo as well, we put together that people were unconscious for like 5 or 10 minutes, maybe. Which was enough time for these Duergar to move in. and just start capturing people and doing what they were doing. And as we investigated more, we found this door that led to not the Underdark, but I think we called it the Dark Under. The land Dark Under. Is it the Darklands? Is the Darklands?
Yeah, it's called. I think. Yeah, it's just the Pathfinder version. I think of the Underdark. It's called the Darklands. I think Brent's character looked it up. But yeah, the land Dark Under. That's what we're calling it now.
True. But the Duragar had been banished from there, basically, so they were constructing like a siege weapon to bust back in and retake what they thought was theirs. But with the commune saved, Timey offered a parting gift. We were able to sort of hang out, breathe in more of that herb. And that is where the session ended.
Yeah. We're finding a lot of underground folks lately. I was thinking that maybe there was some sort of connection, but Tim hasn't really alluded to it yet, other than, like, I guess maybe the bad guys just circumstantially were just underground people. But it would be cool if there was, like, a connection, because it feels like there's been a lot of, like, things either taking advantage of, like, this catastrophe, this moment where everybody passed out to, do some bad. And it may or may not be connected. I don't know, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it would be interesting if the third campaign ended underground after the first campaign was about finding a mine.
Full circle, baby. back in the underground.
The party yearns for the mines.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Because I don't know what Tim has planned. As we've seen, he is very good at surprising people. So I'm sure whatever he has planned, it's gonna be a shock.
Yeah. Shout outs to Tim too. He made this contraption with the free.
Oh yeah.
Of
Incarnate.
Incarnate, yeah, and he was hilarious because he had to use mugs and stuff for wheels, and it was the pretty killer. I liked it a lot. So,
yeah, I didn't even know you could do that.
yeah, I was that's a lot of cool engineering, just layering a bunch of stuff to make something new. So yeah,
very clever. So yeah, had a lot of fun in that game. Looking forward to whatever we come across next, because I'm so curious about what is going on here, and hopefully we are able to figure that out and, I don't know, maybe prevent it from happening again, or deal with more of the aftermath from it.
Yeah, should be good though.
Oh, for sure. All right. Well, thanks everybody out there for swinging by and listening to this episode. If you want to hear more Pathfinder stuff, then check out all the other episodes on the channel. We have a bunch of Pathfinder episodes. We have a bunch of Lancer episodes. And if you're into the Lancer RPG, we have something fun coming up soon that I'm not going to spoil here. But we also have links to a whole bunch of people that we've talked to and hung out with on the show down below. A bunch of third-party writers and creators for Lancer content, so go check them out. There's a bunch of really good stuff down there that you can add onto your Lancer games. Additionally, I want to give a shout out to the Untold Stories project, where I'm at multiple times a week hanging out in their series, as well as the new series they started, well, not recently, because Something in the Dark has been going for a while now, so hopefully you're all checking out that fun superhero magic-y goodness. As well as the recent Plangea series, which is a prehistoric 5e setting. It's a whole lot of fun. The Freedom League Dark series is also coming back soon. I believe it's going to be back in March, so if you've been waiting for that, then you know where it'll be. But yeah, that's it for now. As we said up top, definitely go check out other stuff. It's just the gaming streams. There's Control, there's Baldur's Gate, there's Mass Effect. Really fun stuff you can get into. But that's it for now. So for all of our GMs and players out there who are bringing along a dash of herbs on their adventures, just remember to keep on winning with dice, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.